Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an impromptu news stream here on Gooner Gathering. I am Gooner Lee Meadows, joined by the poshest man in all of sports entertainment, Posh Bertie. How are you, sir? You don't appear to be very happy today, mate.
Well, if you look at the title of the video, you'll see why. Can I say, first of all, I apologise for the state of my hair and how I look like a brown-haired version of Boris Johnson. I am getting my hair cut tomorrow before we do our important chat-along tomorrow. So, yeah, I'll have a fresh trim by tomorrow's video.
There we go,
And
ladies and gentlemen. It's a pre-shave off before Nketiah wins the Golden Boot.
Absolutely. It's worth noting, I got my haircut before Arsenal played United last year and we won. So it might be an omen. But then again, Thomas Partey was in our midfield, so who knows?
Okay. Well, fair enough. I don't suppose you have an Ebbsfleet United highlight of the week for us today, do you?
Well, I actually wasn't at the game due to other things happening. So I missed out on it. And it's a shame. My dad was there, though, believe it or not. But it was a shame because, once again, we have done very well. It was 4-1, I believe. Dominic Polion, once again, being the non-league Haaland. Genuinely, he bags them in. He puts all the goals in the net.
Brilliant.
And you texted me. You were keeping tabs on it. You texted me about Craig Tanner, which I really appreciated. Yeah. So yeah, we're firing all cylinders.
It came up on Soccer Saturday. That's what I was watching, and I saw it on there, and I thought of you, and I smiled. So
excellent. So there we go. But yeah, Ebbsfleet are doing well. We don't have our best players injured. We don't play inverted football. We play our players in the right positions. I'm blessed at the moment. We have lost a couple of games. We've not drawn yet, but for a promoted club, we're actually doing quite good. Actually,
you're holding your own, yeah. That's good to hear.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear. All right then. So let's bring it into the reason why we're all here. And first of all, apologies from me. I couldn't get on the stream yesterday for transfer deadline day. As you all know, I have my little girl with me, and she's literally just behind me at the moment. And it was too much yesterday, and circumstances meant it was impossible. Not that we had much to talk about in terms of incomings yesterday, but we'll get into all the transfers and stuff in a little while. So Bertie got in touch with me a little while ago, saying that we probably should convene on Gooner Gathering on the YouTube channel instead of going on Twitch, because we have some rather big news breaking on one Thomas Partey. Posh Bertie, it's all yours.
So originally, some weirdo on Twitter had made a fake rumor that Partey was out for 4 months, but if you click on the link to that tweet, it goes back to an article in February this year. But actually, by the sheer coincidence of it all, about an hour later, Partey's picked up a groin injury, potentially out for 3 to 4 months. It's almost as if we should have got some players in on deadline day or something. I said, I'm probably drifting away from the subject, but I said that our squad isn't complete. We needed a defender and a striker because we were one William Saliba injury away from capitulation. Thomas Partey's now injured. Jurriën Timber's now injured. All we need now is for Saliba to get injured. We are back to square one. We're back to our time of struggle. But you know what? It just feels like we already are, because our squad, and this is a take you might disagree on, but we've got a thinner squad than last season. Anyway, that's me drifting away. Partey.
No, you keep on going. You keep on going because you explain your point, please.
We've got a thinner squad than last season. Think about it. Tierney's gone. Timber's out injured. Obviously, we needed Tavares and Holding and all that to go, but you know that I can let slide. We haven't got. Our response to Timber's injury was to sell Kieran Tierney, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Is Zinchenko fully fit or not? Kivior's not a proper left back. He's a centre back. So actually, unless Zinchenko is fully fit, we've got no left back. And Tomiyasu's a right back as well. Let's remember. Gabriel, thankfully, is staying with us, but I think that's a bit irrelevant at the moment. And I'm going to bring him up again. And do you know what? I'm gonna come out and say this. This news is making me miss Granit Xhaka, because let's be honest, Kai Havertz is not better than Granit Xhaka in terms of that role. We could have got I'm not gonna touch on to Kai Havertz too much because you know my feelings on him already. But there are so many players we could have got much cheaper, and it would have been a brilliant, suitable replacement for Xhaka. Look at Maddison for Tottenham; he is doing.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might mention Maddison, and you know what? In terms of Maddison, he would have been a fantastic signing. I'd actually agree with you on that one.
Kudus as well for West Ham. Yes, he's not had most minutes, but I reckon he's going to do really, really good for West Ham this season. And they were top of the league at one point. Funny that we signed West Ham's best player, Declan Rice, to challenge for the title to help retain our first spot. It's West Ham that were top of the league. Briefly.
I'd like to say good evening to BX Gunner. Nice to see you back in the chat. And in part of my notes, I have got a sort of what I'd probably do as my predicted 11. And funny enough, Vieira's name is appearing on the team sheet. We'll get into it in just a little bit. In terms of where you're coming from, in terms of the left back situation, you know my feelings on that one as well, my friend. You know that I'm a massive fan of Kieran Tierney, but here's the thing: as we've often spoken about, and look at the chat blowing up. By the way, there's 8 people in here already, and before I say anything else, please like, share, subscribe, and keep people jumping in the stream if you can, guys. That'll be great. I would have kept Kieran Tierney in because he's absolute class, but we don't have Tierney, so I ain't going to dwell. You're right in terms of if Zinchenko gets injured or is not fully fit. Of course, Zinchenko has not started yet. What are we looking at? We're looking at Kivior, we're looking at Tomiyasu, and then after that, we are looking at younger players that haven't played Premier League games. The likes of Roy Waters, of course, has been given a massive shout out from Zinchenko himself. So this guy, wow. But what I will say is obviously that is unproven, and for us to be thinking about throwing youngsters in at this stage isn't really ideal.
Champions League football. You can't play players like Roy Waters in the Champions League.
No. It would be irresponsible to do that. In all fairness, Poch, I was merely looking.
I made this exact point earlier on.
Do you want to read?
What if Saliba gets injured again? The whole back problem situation is very cautious, and if he gets injured, that's it. We're back to square one. We're back to our relegation, not our relegation form, hopefully not being in the drop.
What you're talking about is where we were about 2 years ago, right? That's where you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about our form last season when we lost Saliba and had to play Rob Holding. Obviously, not in the squad anymore. But I said that our form, losing to City, drawing to Southampton, West Ham, losing to Brighton, Forest, that was relegation form. That's what I said.
Okay. Well, in some ways, I do get you with Holding going to Crystal Palace as much as you would say, oh, get rid of him for £2.50 and a packet of Frazzles. It does leave a hole in the squad, doesn't it? In all fairness, if you look...
but in fairness, Holding isn't our player that would suit us really. He's not on our level. I think he's much better off at a lower table Premier League side. So,
but for a player that has been for the club for a long time, I will give him his dues. I was going to yesterday. The guy had at least a couple of FA Cup trophies with him, and he was a vital part of that side. So I do want to make sure he gets his flowers. and he goes with our best wishes as well, because one thing with Rob is he never kicked up a fuss. He never said anything to anyone about, oh, I want to be playing, I want to be in the squad, etc. One of my favourite quotes from Arsene Wenger, when he signed Rob Holding, is the oh, I'm sorry, he didn't cost £55 million. He can't be that good. I just think that's a brilliant quote from Arsene.
And he was right.
But look, for his stage of his career, where he needs to be, I actually feel he will flourish in terms of getting game time at Crystal Palace. At least he'll have that time there. And do you know what? He was great cover for us. At least we had a centre half who'd come in and do his
Last
decent.
season he wasn't.
Well, he had some games. You will admit
overall
that.
Anyway.
What you're saying is, when it came to against the bigger clubs,
when it came to crunch time, he was the major weakness.
Yeah.
And when Saliba gets injured, I mean, who else is there? Kivior, and that's it.
Well,
because Timber's out.
What I was going to say to you is, the point you
moved Ben White at centre back, but that's not an ideal option. He's not a proper centre back. But can we? Yeah, I want to talk about the midfield now, because obviously the main subject is Thomas Partey, right?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
But I'm looking at our midfield, right? Mm-hmm. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Jorginho, Fabio Vieira, Mohamed El Neni, any other player I've met, Smith Rowe. Yeah, Smith Rowe and Declan Rice are good players, obviously, but that is not a title-winning midfield. No, it's not. Especially when Partey is out. Without Partey, anyway. It's going to be Rice and Havertz against Casemiro and Amrabat tomorrow. I think we know. Tomorrow. Well, at some point he'll come off the bench, and I think we know who's winning that midfield battle. If you're being realistic,
yeah, that'll be Arsenal.
Because I admire your optimism, but I think Amrabat is a very, very good player. I remember watching him in the World Cup, running rings around the midfield against Portugal, and Spain as well. I reckon United have got themselves a great signing there. And of course, Casemiro, need I say more? Mostly last season, he was one of their best players. Even though nowadays he looks a bit like Nate Shelley from Ted Lasso. But he actually is doing... I still think there is a player in there.
Unfortunately, I don't understand that reference, but me that as it may, it doesn't matter.
Ted Lasso is a fantastic program. It's worth the Apple TV subscription. Anyway,
but you're right. I mean, tomorrow, of course, Man United, very, very difficult game. Of course, it is. It's always a war going against Man United. Has been since I was a wee little gooner. But
it's the fixture that got me into football, 2007.
That would be the one where Henry scored. Would that have been Henry's last goal for Arsenal?
Yep, it was the first Arsenal Man United match at the Emirates. Okay. We were 1-0 down, and Henry scored the winner, putting us 2-1 up, coming from behind. And that was
very late as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, the only football team I knew was Man United, because everyone in my primary school supported them. Of course they did. It was a school in London, and I knew that United were very good, and seeing a team beat Man United was surprising. And I thought, I'm going to be different. I'm going to support Arsenal instead. And that was the best/worst decision I've ever made in my life.
Absolutely. I mean, we
never looked back since.
Absolutely. It's been emotional. But so look, let's get into the bones of it, shall we? Yeah. I might be, you always know that I'm always the optimist and everything like that. United have got their own problems,
Yeah.
They haven't really impressed in the start of the season. They got a referee decision that helped them across the line against Wolves first day. The goalkeeper doing our wrestling gimmick, in fact, if you like, operating a wonderful Spanish fly. It was great to see. And I believe they have their injury concerns themselves. And in terms of tomorrow's game, I'm actually really confident Arsenal will do well. But
I was confident if we had Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield, and it's like last season. Partey, before he got the injury in February, was one of the main cogs in our engine that kept the machine spinning and everything like that. He then picked up an injury before the Man City game, and it all started to fall apart. And then Saliba got injured and everything, and it just feels like. And when he returned, I will be honest, he wasn't the same player, but I believe he started to rectify that as we started this season. I believe that. But
you've been ridiculing him for the last 2-3 weeks because he's been playing right back.
In midfield, I'm talking about the Community Shield in midfield when he was playing in the midfield where he should be. But then Arteta, in his infinite wisdom, plays him at right back when he's not a right back. I mean, Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. Look at that midfield. That's dangerous. That's lovely, you know. But when you kind of have to tinker with the team when you sign a player like Kai Havertz, don't you? You kind of have to get him in the team in some capacity. But honestly, even with Partey injured, I'd still drop him. I'd still drop Havertz. If we were going to talk about team lineups, I've also got another player. I've also got another player that I'm going to drop, which will be very controversial. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, I look forward to this controversy, mate, because this is what brings in the views, right? Controversy creates cash.
Absolutely.
There's a reference I never thought I'd drop, but I just did it. Eric Bischoff, how you doing? You carry on, mate. You carry on making your point.
We cannot, even with the injured Thomas Partey, we can't start Kai Havertz against United because it's you saw against Fulham, against Palace, he's been a ghost. He's not done, and like I keep mentioning, people are trying to convince themselves so much that Havertz is actually a good player when he's not done much. I mean, flick-ons and layoffs, as I said, flick-ons and layoffs and first touch. No, flick-ons and layoffs don't win you a football match. Things that you might do off the ball doesn't win you a football match. You know, it's about how, and I just think he's made our midfield look weaker. And when you compare him to Granit Xhaka, I'd rather have Xhaka in there, but obviously he's been sold, so that can't happen. But yeah, I'm waffling too much.
You're not waffling.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to get at is you're after a little bit more in terms of productivity, I think is probably the word you're looking for, right? In terms of the real stats that matter is what you're getting at, right?
I would probably, and this might make me contradict myself as well, because I mentioned Havertz does not play in Xhaka's role, but I might ponder starting Smith Rowe in that role. Or Jorginho, Rice, and Odegaard.
Funny enough, that's the first thing.
A steady hand, I think.
That's the first thing I wrote down when I went to do a sort of an 11. I went for, I've got Rice, J2O, and Odegaard written down here, and then obviously Saka.
Yeah,
I'm going with an Nketiah up front because he's fully fit and he's the one that's going to be operating as the number 9 striker because I don't want to rush back Jesus, right? And
I do agree with you. I think unless you want to play Trossard up front and have Saka and Martinelli on the wings, I think probably Nketiah. And I'll give it to him. He is in form at the moment.
Yeah. Against
Forest and against Fulham, so we'll have to see what happens.
He's had contributions all the way through, hasn't he? That's talking facts about either being on the score sheet or having an assist. The Crystal Palace game, he won the penalty. Obviously, scored against Fulham, scored against Nottingham Forest. I think that might be a new name in the chat. in Ibi, saying surely Mikel has to go to our usual back line of the back four tomorrow. So I've got written down for myself, I would go White at right back. That was nearly a tongue twister.
White back. White.
I made a right mess of that, but I got through it. We sailed through the mucky waters. We're fine. We're live, pal. Gabriel and Saliba at centre back. So I've got Zinchenko at left back. That is my preference, right? Because he's the more experienced player out of anybody else that we can potentially play. I think we'll get more out of Zinchenko than we would do potentially of Tomiyasu, because as much as Tomiyasu has done a job at left back before, and I remember him marking Mo Salah out a game against Liverpool when he unexpectedly lined up in that role, I'd be far happier seeing Tomiyasu on the other side. And therefore, as an automatic fit, that's where I put Zinchenko. But so in the chat, Ibi saying that's actually a good shout. Some experience in there with Jorginho in the middle in a big game. Yeah, like this is a great idea. Mikel's mind is very interesting, to say the least.
It's right like back. Ever since last season, before the capitulation started, and I said, actually, I take back what I said about Arteta. I actually think he's doing very well this season. The moment I said that, it's like Arteta's seen what I've said and is just trying to test every limit I can to make me turn on him again. Because, let's get Kai Havertz. Let's get a dog. Let's get an olive tree. Let's put Partey at right back. He's trying to do all these things to make me test my patience to see where my limits are. But I'm telling you now, at the moment, my limits are being very tested, especially if we lose to Man United. He's on thin ice on me. Might cause a concern at the moment.
Okay, well, that's interesting, because last time I checked, we've got 2 wins and we have 1 draw in the bag at the moment in terms of the start of the season. Yeah, I know we're not exactly firing on all cylinders, and perhaps tomorrow might be the one where we get that season-defining start, if you like, where this is how I'm thinking. This is how I'm approaching the game. Is that I'm looking for a strong start from us. I'm looking for us to exploit the injury issues that Man United have got. And let's talk about that, shall we, just briefly?
We're a bit ironic for us to talk about injury issues.
Yeah, but we can only go against what we are going to be playing against, right? And then if you're thinking about, like, on our right-hand side, potentially, we'll have Saka. So who's going to play in the left-back position? Are they going to put Reguilon in there straight away?
I think that's more likely, because Varane is injured. Luke Shaw is injured, and Malaysia, he's also injured. Their backup left back. So there's a bit of a defensive injury issue for Man United.
The very reason why I would think they put sign Johnny Evans up on a playing contract for the next season, because they have the short-term injuries, and obviously they recognise the left-back situation is a problem. That's why they've got Reguilon in from Spurs, which I think is a weird one, because Spurs have let one of their rivals have one of their players on loan. Explain that one to me, anybody? I can't. But sorry, I have to keep a check on my little girl who's just behind me, who's making noises when she's on the iPad. So I apologise for that. But let's look at sort of Saka and Nketiah probably in the middle, probably trying to go against a rather soft centre in Man United, perhaps. That's and what I want to see us doing is punishing United and testing their new goalkeeper is what I want to see. And
funny you should mention new goalkeepers. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Are you telling me that you're going to drop Ramsdale now?
Can we? We'll do our predicted lineups in a minute, and then
I think I've already done
what you're saying right now. Exploiting Onana in goal, Now I think Onana when he played for Inter Milan, I think he actually is a fantastic goalkeeper. When he's so far this season, again, I always use the expression, he's not exactly set the world on fire, because, you know, that goal against Nottingham Forest when he was like slipping over and everything, and even against Tottenham as well, he's not been all that. So whether he's getting used to everything or not, I don't know. But I think maybe we need to, especially when they're leaking in defence a little bit, we need to try and exploit that. We need to go and attack from the off, really.
Yeah, I actually think that'd probably be a good idea, rather than, you know, perhaps passing the ball back and then putting Ramsdale in a bad position, so someone might come up and jump to a back pass and score. Because that's something I'm looking for. I'm looking for us to make a solid sort of start. And yeah, it's very funny.
Is he talking about your daughter or me? I'm not sure.
Well, you know, you do kind of look like my son, don't you? So, but
yeah, I think I do wonder if there's a mix at the hospital at some point. But
yeah, Amy is getting a little shout out here, so this is cool. So, but look, I know we are probably gonna, and we're probably gonna do it tomorrow as well. We'll keep on running circles around each other about the Havertz situation, and you know, the fact is that we have paid the money for him. I do think he's struggling for confidence. I get that. Probably the time at Chelsea probably didn't help that. I do feel there is a player in there, and being that he's 6'5", he should have a bit of a threat, at least putting crosses into him, etc. But then it will very much depend on the output.
That's why I can kind of understand the argument about him being up front, because he's a tall striker that can get headers in from crosses, and he's scored goals like that. So, you know, it could happen. But when it comes to Havertz, I hear all these comparisons. You compared him, well, you didn't really compare him to Dennis Bergkamp, but the situation surrounding it. And I see people saying, oh, well, De Bruyne didn't do that well at Chelsea and went to a Premier League club. Salah didn't do well at Chelsea. He went to a Premier League club. First of all, those players had about 6 months at Chelsea, and then they went to a club in Europe, and then a year later they went to a Premier League club. Havertz has had 3 consecutive years at Chelsea, and overall, all of those years has been underwhelming. So we actually know what he's like overall in terms of consistently playing. That's my worry. That's my issue with signing him. I didn't see the point in it really when we could have got better players.
Yeah, I mean that's not really come over on the streams that we've been doing the last couple of weeks, in fairness, Boss. So thank you for clarifying that.
No, I've never said that before, but
no, obviously.
Some not you maybe, but some Arsenal fans need to try and understand that you know, trying to convince themselves that Havertz is going to be a world-class player for Arsenal might not be a smart idea to do, because you'll just set yourself up for disappointment.
And the point I was trying to convey with you when I mentioned the Bergkamp thing, and I think I made it clear. And when I said the 2 words Dennis Bergkamp, it triggered you. If you listen very carefully to what I said, is that when Bergkamp joined us, he came in very lacking in confidence, lacking in form. What I want to do with Havertz is give him a chance. I want to give him a bit of a try. I'm not thinking, actually, for tomorrow, when I pick my lineup, I don't necessarily pick Havertz tomorrow. I'd probably have him on the bench as an option, potentially if we, need to make a change during the game, because I think it'll actually do him a favour just coming away. And we saw, let's chuck the options out there, shall we? We saw what Vieira did on Saturday last week. Who'd have thought this? I'm calling for Vieira to play in the Premier League against Man United. But
yeah, that's the concern. I mean, would you really trust him to start against a team that, on paper, are better than Fulham?
Yeah, they should be better than Fulham. You're right, but then if you look on the form and you look at the, you in terms of output is the word I used a
don't
little
want
while
to take
ago.
any more risks really because yes, we're unbeaten at the moment this season, but the way we've played is not like how we played last season. Yeah. Maybe against Nottingham Forest it was, but then we conceded and it just turned into,
See, part of me thinks
help us, but yeah.
Part of me thinks in terms of Vieira, what does he need to do to get a start? Because he made such an impact off the bench last week. Then the common sense jumps in and says, actually, it's against Man United.
Yeah.
So does the experienced player like Jorginho?
And we've lost Partey.
Yeah. So then you put in the double pivot with Rice and Jorginho, Ødegaard ahead of them, and then you got the wide players, and you could debate this as well probably because a lot of people are big fans of Trossard. I know you are too, and and his form coming off the bench has been excellent. But last week against Fulham, he had a bit of a shocker. That just happens. That happens in football, doesn't it?
Yeah,
right?
I think he played up front rather than the way he would usually play, which is on the wings.
You're right. It was kind of a false nine, wasn't he? Right.
But he snatched at his chances up front. He wasn't playing in his natural position.
Yeah.
That's I would argue that.
Do you feel that natural position for Trossard is wide left? Then yes.
It's where Martinelli is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like Martinelli. I think he's a brilliant player as well.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have two good players in that position. It's very rare that we have that kind of depth in any position, really. But yeah, they're two good options to rotate with.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, I mean, I think that's kind of what Arteta's looking at, isn't he? He's looking at his previous club. He's looking at Manchester City and having quality players coming in for quality players. You take one world-class player out the side like Kevin De Bruyne, who's injured, and they're replacing him with Alvarez.
Yeah, but the difference is Man City have got two first teams. We haven't.
And I think you're probably right. We've got a bit of work to do to get there, but that's what I think they're looking to do. Things don't happen overnight. They don't happen over one transfer window, do they? But I mean, let's bring the so let me throw it to you in saying, look, okay, so I've pretty much given. I think I've given my whole 11. I'll go through it again. I've got Ramsdale in goal, White, Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko. I'll go. My shout will be Rice and Jorginho, Ødegaard, Saka, Nketiah, and Martinelli or Trossard. I'll be. That's the one I'm either or with. You go ahead and tell me what you would do.
So first of all, let me just turn the light on in my room, which is getting a little bit dark. Okay. Let
me just put another comment up.
How do I think Rice will do tomorrow in his first big Prem game for us? I hope he'll do very well. I know it's. I thought against Crystal Palace he was the best player on the pitch. That was the last time I watched Arsenal live. Obviously, Crystal Palace and Man United are two different teams. Yeah. I hope that he does well for us. So
he's a big game player, is Declan. I think he'll do great.
So my lineup. So this is the controversial part. I would start David Raya in goal because I just think we have conceded a lot of first-minute goals with Ramsdale in. And I just think the way we conceded against Fulham, Ramsdale's positioning, he kind of fell over and slipped a little bit. I just think we can't... I do this with boldness, but with a heavy heart. I would actually start David Raya in goal against United. In the back four, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. That explains itself. Jorginho as the 6. Rice in the role where Xhaka used to be, like he played in the Community Shield. Ødegaard as the attacking midfielder. Saka and Trossard or Martinelli, preferably Trossard though. Again, more creativity, better, dynamicness. I think that's a word. And Would you believe it? Grab 2 of each animal and head to the border. Up front, I've gone for Nketiah because Jesus is not fully fit, and that's it. That's our main striker options. It's Jesus or Nketiah. Like I said, no depth.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. So the only change you've got in your lineup to mine is the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And that's bold to say the least. I see Saka's escaping criticism again for the back pass for the Fulham game.
Well,
but
it
be that
was.
as it may,
It was his fault. Yeah. I do blame him for the back pass, but I think Ramsdale could have done better. Look at how his positioning was. He fell over like a Skittles in bowling.
Yeah. My feeling on this one is I think it's likely for us to have the change of the goalkeeper when we play the League Cup game against Brentford. That's unless Ramsdale gets injured or worse. That's my feeling. And believe me, I
wouldn't rule that out as well with our injuries at the moment. Can you imagine? Oh, he's rage quit.
That.
Oh no!
Oh, hello.
He's here.
Hello. Internet failed. I think.
I thought you
seconds. I didn't rage quit. No.
I thought you got angry at me saying Ramsdale might get injured, and you thought, I'm done with this negativity. I'm just
No. It would take a lot more than that. I mean, believe me, the last time we did a broadcast, you tested me.
What, when I shouted you down when it came to Dennis Bergkamp?
You did. But made for a quite funny clip, I thought.
See, that's what it's all about. Yeah. Listen, Arteta's testing my limits. I'm going to test yours as in protest.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely.
And there are definitely no problems between the rockers.
So, I'm going to a barbershop tomorrow. If I see you, then I'm going to. If I see you and then yeah.
Just watch out for the super kicks. Right, let's get it onto serious mode just for a minute before we leave everybody. Look, we make each other laugh with our wrestling references. All right, this is what we do on our channel, and you'd expect that, right? So, let's sum up the transfer window in general, shall we? And then we'll talk about what happened a little bit yesterday because I've got a few things in. So, in short, over the summer, Arsenal bought in 4 players: Rice, Havertz, Timber, and Raya. Unfortunately, one of them players we won't see probably until March in Timber, who
at the earliest.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a real shame because I think he would have made a massive difference. What a goal I've just seen there, by the way. Ferguson for Brighton. You'll see it in just a second.
Is that his second of the game?
Yeah, Ferguson's been brilliant.
He's good. See, another striker we could have got. You
say that. Brighton were asking for about £200 million for it. So,
oh, yeah, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? But the kid is absolute quality.
Anyway,
his instincts for the first goal were brilliant, and the strike from a bit of range. I'm going to see it again because I literally saw it from a glance. I'm going to describe the goal a little bit because it's only fair. Dunk is playing the ball on the halfway line, plays it through. There's a long-range strike there from Ferguson on the edge of the D. It's a wonderful goal. It's absolutely brilliant. 65 minutes gone. It's Brighton 2. It's Newcastle 0. So, yeah.
There you go.
That
you should be a Sky Sports pundit.
Do you know what? It's almost tempting because I love doing the commentating and stuff like that. And we'll be on 4:15 tomorrow for Arsenal against Man United.
Yeah.
I could and you speak to my wife about this. You know my Anna, and I could very happily be standing up here doing it Joey Styles on my own, doing my own commentary to any old match. I'd quite like the fact we could do an extension of the chat along if you'd like. I'll just throw it out there if anyone wants to do it. But anyway, I was summing up the transfer window. So I spoke about the 4. I spoke about the 4 ins. Let's talk about the. There's a bit of a long list of players going out. Some of them are first team players ish. some of them are reserves, and some of them are never played for us, and some of them are going out on loan. Let's go through it all, shall we? Rob Holding is probably the most high-profile one that has gone. Permanent move to Crystal Palace. So tidy £2 million profit, everybody. I knew you'd laugh at that. I knew you'd laugh at that. Lukonga, he's going to have a very interesting season, having watched Luton Town last night. That's where he's heading. He's going to have a very challenging season, I think, in their midfield. But again, it's valuable experience for him. It'll be very interesting to see if he gets in first team or not. I think Luton are very much. I mean, I don't know too much about them because I never really saw too much of them in Championship last season. Does look like a quite a Championship level squad down there at the moment. Is that fair? Did you see them against West Ham last night?
Yeah. Look, we technically haven't got rid of Lukonga because he's out on loan.
He's out on loan, yeah.
So we still haven't got rid of him. We haven't got rid of Tavares either because he's out on loan.
I was going to give you a chance to talk about Lukonga first, and then I'm going to go on to Nuno.
Well, I don't know. I don't have much to say about him really. Mm-hmm. I hope he does well at Luton.
Okay.
So yeah.
Last time I checked with the Nuno Tavares situation is that he's out at Forest on loan with a view to a £12 million transfer, I believe.
Okay.
I think that's actually a really good move because, you know, as you know, you saw almost class him as a left back. I actually see him probably a little bit further forward because I don't think defensively is great. He had a fantastic season last season. He scored a few goals and he did very well on loan. But one that he definitely sort of had his critics at Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah. But back in 2021, we were pretty much wanting anything we could get because that's how our levels were back then. But Tavares wasn't really that good. Neither was Lukonga. They didn't really impress me that much, in the words of Shania Twain. But I think, I'm not going to lose sleep over their departures.
Yeah. Okay. Other permanent moves. I know I'm going to brush through Paolo Mari because he'd been away from the club for a long time. I wish him well after everything that he went through last season. As you know, he got attacked and everything in that shopping mall. I hope he's doing well. Hope he's doing okay, and hope he does well for the rest of his career. Runnison went out to Cardiff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Joining Aaron Ramsey. So again, I can't really
know who's the better player here there.
I can't say too much more than that. I'll break away briefly because Ferguson's just got his hat trick in the Brighton versus Newcastle game. 3-0 to Brighton.
What a phenomenal player!
I never saw the goal, so but I'll carry on doing.
Can't wait for his inevitable switch to the England national team.
Good shout. I can talk through the goal here. They're playing it through the midfield. It's Matoma has played the pass to him. Ferguson's got it on his left foot. It's deflected. Pope's nowhere, and that's 3-0. It's come off Fabian Schär. I mean, it looked like it was going one corner, and then it's ended up going the other side. So it's that is 3-0 with 20 minutes plus injury time to play. So the other names that obviously gone permanently, you mentioned quite at length Granit Xhaka, who I believe has hit the ground running at Leverkusen. He's doing quite well. Matt Turner, of course, has gone to Forest. Kieran Tierney's gone to Sociedad. Has Maitland-Niles signed for anybody yet? Do you know?
Well, he's left the club, but I don't know.
Yeah,
really.
His contract ran out, didn't he? He got released. Does he
still play for Southampton? Who got pummeled 5-0 against Sunderland today?
Oh my goodness. I don't know where he's ended up. Trusty has gone to
Sheffield United.
Sheffield United. Of course, I knew that one. Marquinhos has gone out on loan to question mark.
No idea.
No idea. But that is. Oh, the only other person I did miss out is the goalkeeper. I'm going to butcher his name, so I really apologise for it. But and actually, that ties into something else that I've written down. He's replacing Ben Foster over at Wrexham. It's
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, and I'm really, really worried that I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm actually going to write.
Let me have a look. Let me have a look at Wrexham's team today.
What I'm going to do, mate, it's if you look in the chat now, that's his name.
Okonkwo.
There we go. There he is. That's the guy's name.
Okonkwo.
So Ben Foster, as you all know, has retired for the second time over at Wrexham. Listen to the Fozcast, by the way. It's very interesting to see. And on YouTube, he's also on Spotify. You can pay me later, Fozzie.
He does stuff with Mark Goldbridge a lot.
He does. And he's really interested what he says because he's a really down-to-earth kind of guy. And you can really quite kind of relate to him on what he says. But I'm gonna throw a bit of a quote from Fozzie at you, and I do mean Fozzie, not Chris Jericho's Fozzie. All right, there you go. So, in terms of talking about Arsenal signing David Raya, all right, and I don't know if you've seen this quote from him. I'll read it, and it's quite lengthy. It's taken up a whole A4 bit of paper, but I'll try and
summarize it, I guess. But
so he's not very happy that Arsenal have signed Raya on loan. He says, "I hate it. It's pathetic. It's something that didn't need to happen. They didn't need to sign David Raya. He, Ramsdale, has been a top goalie for 2 years. He's on the edge of being England's number one with Jordan Pickford. He's right there. When he's full of confidence and he's got a manager putting his arm around him and say he's good as anyone in this country." That was Fozzie's quote.
First of all, we need good squad depth. And right now, I do not think Karl Hein is a suitable backup goalkeeper. Neither was Runnison, which is why he's gone. So
we had to replace Turner, didn't we, in the squad?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Raya is a very good. I mean, look at Man City, right? Ortega and Ederson; those are two very good goalkeepers. We've got Ramsdale and Raya, who I actually think can really. It's good competition. One goalkeeper should think, right, I want to start in the first team. I'm going to have to put a lot of effort in training. I'm going to have to step up my game. So that's what it is. So I'm pleased we've signed Raya, and if only we had some of this kind of competition for the first team with other type of players, if you know what I mean. So I'm pleased we signed Raya because we've got two viable good goalkeeping options going into cup competitions as well.
Yeah, I'm actually totally with you on that one. Raya, I thought was an excellent piece of business.
I think Ben Foster's just jealous that we didn't sign him. That's what it is.
Yeah, perhaps. But the dizzy heights of League Two for Ben Foster was too much for him this term. And I say that with a grin on my face because I rate Fozzie an awful lot. I think Ben's a great goalkeeper. He's got a great character. Is that a car alarm I can hear? Is that my end or yours?
No, it's your end probably.
It's my end. Oh dear. This is the sound of the police.
It's the alarm bells for Arsenal's midfield.
Fair enough. Right. I mean, there's a couple of names we haven't mentioned in terms of our squad depth, which I do want to bring up. Reece Nelson is a player that we haven't, and the ESR actually, who haven't had any minutes yet. I will say this: it's great that ESR is staying because
for now.
Well, I don't think it's likely he's gonna let him go with our midfield options as they are, and you quite rightly brought it out. I don't see ESR going anytime this season. I'm sure he'll get minutes. I'm sure he will. Where exactly, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he'll get in there. Reece Nelson, of course, yes, yet to come back properly after his injury. I will bring up Koza Dubry because he's very highly rated, but again, another one that's really inexperienced in terms of like first team minutes. Impressed me when I saw him live the other week at a different level. I'd expect him to come in a side against Brentford in a couple of weeks' time in the Cup. But I would say a name to keep an eye on and just keep watch on him because I think the kid's really talented.
I can see him playing in our inevitable FA Cup third round tie against Ebbsfleet.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anywhere else we need to go with in terms of transfer deadline day? Yeah, probably a couple.
I just want to, on terms of overall, on our transfer business overall, because of Timber's injury, we've technically signed one good regular first starter, and that's it. Timber, yes, he's very good, but he's injured for most of the season. The only player I can think of that is a regular starter who's good is Declan Rice. Because again, we talk Havertz till the cows come home, pretty much. But
we'll probably do so tomorrow as well.
We will when he, scores a hat trick or something. Hopefully, David Raya is going to be a backup goalkeeper. That is about it, and that's why I think with some of the starters who are like Havertz and Raya, who are going to be on the levels I would say of the subs bench. If Ramsdale's going to be our regular keeper, and with the departures of Kieran Tierney, Granit Xhaka, and even the likes of Tavares as well. Maybe it's a dead wood, but that's just me. I'm contradicting. I think players like Tierney and Xhaka, you can argue that we've got a weaker, thinner squad than last season. Because I can't see Cedric playing for us, and rightly so. I can't see El Neni getting any minutes for us, I don't think, unless it's in the Carabao Cup. I just, I don't think we've got a squad. When you compare it to some of the other teams at the moment, I still believe that there are a good few teams that can cause huge problems for us this season. And I'm talking about the likes of Brighton and Aston Villa and,
They're impressing me right now, mate.
And yes, Tottenham Hotspur as well. You might not like me saying that, but it's the truth. Look at how they've been doing the last 3 games.
I'm not going to deny that.
Postecoglou is more than the Aussie Sean Dyche. And I apologise to all Tottenham fans for saying that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get your point on that completely. The only comeback I do have on what you say is perhaps behind the scenes, some of the youngsters that I already mentioned have really made a mark on Arteta, and he's made the decision to take the departures. And at the end of the day, he's going to be judged on the results, right? So if the guys that I mentioned do come in, well, let's just see what happens. We can't do anything about it now. I was going to say, in terms of El Nini, the only thing I think he's here for is, of course, I don't know his situation in terms of his injuries situation. Obviously, he had a bad one, but I don't think they wanted him to go on as without a contract, without being paid as being injured, if you like. And I suppose Arsenal have to be credited for doing that. I only see El Nini actually as backup and coaching. That's what I see him doing. I don't see him playing at all, in all fairness. I suppose the other one I'll probably want to bring up in terms of Arsenal players is Nicola Pepe. It'd be wrong of me not to mention him because the £72 million man looks like he's about to be. I think Arsenal were considering terminating him.
They've considered doing that for a few months now. They haven't done it yet.
I mean, and let's sort of clarify that if you're a free agent, you can go across to any other side outside the window. That's permitted with the rules. I'll go for a response for you on the reported Pepe story that came out today. I can't remember the source. So if you can quote the source that I gave you earlier on, that'd be helpful.
So you texted me something about Nicola Pepe. So Sky Sports Paper Talk on the 2nd of September at 8 in the morning. Okay. Arsenal are considering ripping up £72 million signing Nicola Pepe's contract after struggling to find a buyer for him this summer. Right. Bit of a shame, really. 72 million just like that, just getting thrown away. But I'm quite surprised that, you know, a club in Saudi Arabia hasn't splashed the cash for him.
I suppose, am I right in saying, because I'm not connected with Arsenal and I'm glad I'm not having to worry about this one, but if you look at Liverpool fans worrying about Mo Salah, I believe the Saudi window is under a different date.
It doesn't close until like a month's time.
Right. So I don't know. It's certainly one that I'm going to keep an eye on. And Brighton look like they're in for a fall there. My God, no. Play stopped. It's okay. So yeah, that's where we are with that. I don't think there's anybody else that I need to talk about in terms of Arsenal. There are a couple of noticeable moves that happened during the window, which I probably want to bring up just in passing, if you like. The Alex Iwobi leaving Everton to join Fulham was a bit eyebrow raising for me. What are your thoughts on that one?
I only found this out today.
It was a late one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a bit surprising. I think Everton losing kind of another player again, and I do think this could be the season where they finally get relegated.
That'd be a shame.
Yeah, they'll probably still beat us though at Goodison because they always do. Yeah, I hope you won't.
Don't you just love the what is it? The leader of the doom, if you like, the negativity.
There are Arsenal fans who are a lot more negative than me. There's a lot.
I suppose so.
And I've been in a video with some of those people. But yeah. No, I respect all their opinions. And at this rate, they're probably right, some of them. But I think, but back to Iwobi, I hope he does well at Fulham. I liked Iwobi when he was at Arsenal.
Do you know what? That's nice to hear a positive comment about him. Thank you for that. That is appreciated. I actually really quite liked him too. But
yeah, he had a lot of promise, but it didn't end up getting to that.
Did you see Matteo Guendouzi got himself a move?
No.
Remember, he's
a barbershop, hopefully. Sort his hair out.
Sort his mullet out, yeah. He's gone out to Lazio. And I believe that's a permanent move. I believe Arsenal get a slice of the pie on that one as well. He's moved out from Marseille.
Oh, okay. Guendouzi, the first ever window of the Good Evening Emery era, we signed Guendouzi and Torreira, and I thought, we're in the money here. Torreira, I thought, was very good for us in his first season, especially the first half of the season. Guendouzi started off kind of well, but just fell off a bit, didn't he?
He fell off a cliff big time for me, and I'm watching Brighton tear it up right now, and I always think of that day that we got put to bed by Brighton and in Guendouzi's final episode for us when he got sent off. And
which one? Which game where we got bullied by Brighton? Because there's a lot.
Now, what is the guy's name? He's just joined Everton again.
Neil Maupay.
Maupay got the goal that killed us.
Yeah, the 2-1. Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
But there's a certain video from a certain YouTube channel who I can't mention that sticks to my mind when I think of that Maupay winner.
Yeah. Fair enough. Anything else I need to talk about? Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on my little girl, guys. So forgive me if I'm multi-skilling here a little bit. All right, yeah, there is another point I do want to make. Yeah, there's a couple of bullet points I have got written down here, which I was going to bring up yesterday, and I never had a chance to because I couldn't stream yesterday. I just want to remember Jose Antonio Reyes briefly, It would have been his 40th birthday yesterday. The invincible member of the squad had an incredible impact on the squad from the day that he set foot on the pitch with us against Chelsea in the FA Cup. Rings, comes through true, and I remember it as if it was yesterday. And I can remember the late John Watson on his commentary from doing the match that day. And just want to remember Jose because he was taken way too soon. In terms of the PFA awards that happened during the week, we had several of our first team squad announced in that 11. Saka, Saliba, Ramsdale, Odegaard were named in that 11. I could give the whole 11 if you want to for just transparency and who they picked. I don't know if you heard this one yet, mate.
I know that we got some players in the team of the year, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. So Ramsdale was picked as the goalkeeper. Trippier, Diaz, Stones, and Saliba. Obviously, they're throwing Saliba at left back, but he can go inverted, so it'll be all right. Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, and Odegaard in the midfield with Saka, Haaland, and Harry Kane was the last named in that lineup. So there is that done, and I think that is just about everything that I was going to cover. So, well, that has been an interesting debate over tonight. So let's covering the go back to the top story before we leave. It seems like Thomas Partey has picked up a nasty muscle injury. I guess we'll see when we hear from Arteta tomorrow the exact cause of it. I wanted to give a big shout out to the Ghanaian Football Association actually for revealing the injury there, so giving Man United a bit of a heads up on our team news before the game. Yeah,
so they're licking their lips now, aren't they? They're thinking, oh, their midfield's going to be weak. Rice, Havertz, yum.
I swear to God, if I have to
keep naming who I think is going to probably be in the midfield. That's who I think. It's not who I want to happen. It's what I think is going to happen. So that's what I think is going to happen. That's who I think is going to start as the two in the midfield.
Absolutely. All right. Fair enough. Well, I think at this sort of stage, I think we're about ready to get out of here. It's been an interesting. Can you believe we've been talking for nearly an hour and 5 minutes on this thrown together stream? This is what we do best, ladies and gentlemen. We're unscripted,
it's therapy for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully it is for you guys as well. I hope you enjoy what we do. Make sure if you're watching us live or if you're watching us on demand, you're throwing that like button on the channel. It helps our channel grow, which is growing tremendously well anyway. And make sure you tune in to us rambling away like we do tomorrow for the live match commentary. So we are on air at 4:15 British summertime tomorrow. Beware, everybody! It's gonna be
it'll be fireworks. There'll be jubilation or disappointment depending on the scoreline.
Can we replicate the most iconic moment on Gooner Gathering history when Eddie Nketiah's goal just lifted us to levels that we hadn't been before in that dramatic 3-2 win last season? So Bertie, as we're going to get out of here, my friend, I'm going to put the social medias up there. Where can they find you, sir?
Well, you can follow me on the old Twitter machine or X, whatever you call it now, at Posh Bertie. And you can follow me on Instagram at Bertie Wanless.
Thank you very much, sir. You can find me at Gunnerly Mead on Twitter, X. You can find us all on at Gooner Gathering. Check us out on the TikTok account as well, where we put all the silly clips out with lots of funny music, more often than not with our wrestling gimmick on the back end of it as well. And Make sure you tune in to us tomorrow at 4:15. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we shall see you